Okay, what is good, everybody? It is the Godfather of VR, the ageless one of the man, Lincoln Clay, and we are back with another live stream of Assetto Corsa Competizione on PS5. It is 12:35 a.m. here in lovely Grand Rapids, Michigan. Over on the West Coast, I think it's still 9:30. They may be awake. Over in the UK, I believe it is 6:30 in the morning. In the UK, they're probably just waking up. Wherever you are, how are you doing? Gonna jump in and do a couple of races, and as usual, the goal is to see how close I can come to my PC times. So I've been doing. I did a couple of LFM races this week, and I actually did pretty good. And one thing I'm starting to find out is that jumping from VR to flat screen on ACC on PC versus PS5, I'm actually starting to take a little bit from both versions and applying it to the other one, and it's actually helping. So actually getting out of the VR headset for a second and racing flat screen, it actually helps. It helps me when I come back to VR because I actually pick up something, and vice versa. So when I did a race at Spa, oh, this race is about to start. I'm too late. You can see by the track map that they're about to cross the start line right now, and the game would make me wait to jump into the race, so it would put me in last place.
Green light,
There it is. We'll look in on him for a second.
Think PS5 Pro can run X on PSVR 2?
I had to leave that session so I can answer that question where it's quiet. I've said this a number of times that the developer of Assetto Corsa Competizione is Kunos, and one of their devs has a Discord, and he has his own YouTube page. His name is Aristolis, and the name of his YouTube channel is Aris Drives. So periodically, like maybe once every couple of weeks, once every month, he'll stream, and he'll take time to give back to the community. And so what he'll do is he'll pick people from his Discord, and he says pick any car you want, drive any way you want, and he'll be in spectator mode, and he'll observe how you drive, and he'll give you pointers of where you can pick up some time and that kind of stuff. And so if you want to answer, if you have a question for him, the best way to get your question answered is the super chat. It's not a case of him refusing to answer your question. It's that he's got so many people in the chats asking him questions that the best way to be reassured that your question will get answered is to super chat him. So that's what I did. I super chatted him and asked him, would the PS5 version of ACC, would it get VR support? And his exact answer was, he said, too many resources. The console's not strong enough. when he said that, I originally did not want to accept that answer, and I did not want to believe him because with its raw power, I did believe that the PS5 would not have enough power to run this game in VR. But I thought with the FSR technology, which is similar to DLSS on NVIDIA's side, I thought that would allow ACC to support VR on PS5. After seeing the compromises that was made on GT7, because there was a lot of compromises made on that game in order to make it run on VR, and even with all the shortcuts that they took and all the compromises that they made, the 120 hertz reprojection still makes the game to me look blurry. When you're going down the straights, it's fine, but as soon as you go into the corners, that's when you see all the blur. The entire scenery becomes blurry. When you pull over and you see all the cars go by, you see a ghost trail behind the cars. And so I'm convinced that that the PS5 is underpowered for VR in terms of some of these hybrid games that Sony claims they want, you know. So ACC is already demanding on PC. And it took me, I had to build a $4,000 PC and use a $1,000 headset for ACC to finally look like something that's satisfactory to me on PC. I am convinced that, yes, he was telling the truth when he said that the PS5 isn't strong enough to run this game in VR. I believe him now. And here's other things for you to keep in mind. I play ACC in VR on PC. In order to reduce the load, I had to make some concessions on the PC version, like the shadow distance. I had to change it from maybe from high to medium. The shadow textures, I had to take them down from high to medium. Aliasing, I had to take that down from ultra to maybe high. The number of cars rendered, I had to take that down from like 30 down to 15. So 15 cars are rendered at once, because you're not going to be able to see all, you're not going to be able to see all 40 cars or whatever the case may be. And if you can, it's going to tax the PC. So by me setting it to render 15 cars, it's only going to render 15 cars within a certain bubble, within a certain radius of my car. So in the case of the PS5 version of ACC, flat screen, it can render 30 cars. That is impressive. So, what they've been able to accomplish, yes, it is buggy, but it is impressive, because on PS5, you can still do a race with 30 cars, 4K 60. Whereas on GT7, the lobbies have 16 cars. Now, my friend Ham and I, we've had a discussion about that. When the game first launched, GT7 had 20-player lobbies, and they took it down to 16. He thinks that they might have done that because of the crossplay to accommodate the PS4. Because the GT7, GT Sport and GT7 on PS4 can only do 16-player lobbies. So he thinks that might have been done in order to make the crossplay happen, because you have to keep in mind that when GT7 launched, the people were still feeling the effects of COVID, and GT7 it didn't sell the way Sony had hoped it would sell, and a lot of that was because the PS5 wasn't selling the way Sony had hoped because of COVID, because of supply, because of the supply chain and all that shit. So they made the game crossplay with PS4. Myself, that was Ham's belief, and it makes a lot of sense. But me, I felt like they took the lobbies down from 20 to 16 in order to free up resources for GT7 to be able to run in VR. I've done it before in past streams on GT7. I would pull over on the side of the road and show you the small details of the compromises that they had to make. So, for instance, on GT7 in VR, I would pull over to the side of the road and I would show you guys the grass. In the grass, there's only a couple of blades of grass, but the rest of it looks like a green carpet. Well, then you come back to GT7 and play the game flat screen and you pull over on the side of the road, you see a full lawn of grass. It's just a lush, it looks like a lush lawn, blades of grass everywhere. And that happens across all VR sim racing games. The small details that people don't really care that much about, they have to strip that out in order to free up resources. So ACC is no different. ACC on PC, if you play the game on low settings and you pull over to the side of the road, the grass is going to look like carpet. If you turn the settings all the way up to ultra and you pull over to the side of the road, there's going to be a lot more blades of grass. Part of it is still going to look like a carpet, but there's going to be a lot more blades of grass. But it's going to come at the expense of performance. So the higher you turn the settings up on PC, the more you're going to pay for it with performance. So when I was playing ACC on like a 2070 and I tried to crank the settings all the way up to VR Epic, the game would run like absolute dog shit. I'd probably get like 20 frames a second. I mean, the frame rate was so bad that I could take a notebook and flip through the pages and get a better frame rate. And so that's why it took me finally having to get a 4090 to get what I was looking for, where I can turn the graphics all the way up and still maintain 90 frames per second. And I still, as I said before, even with this 4090, I still had to make compromises. I had to turn the shadows down a little bit here. I had to turn, shadow texturing down a little bit here. Turn the aliasing down a little bit here. The number of cars rendered, had to turn that down from, from like 40 to 15. All that kind of shit. In order for me to still get good visuals and good performance, there is no way. With all that being said, there's no way that the PS5, in my opinion, would be able to handle this game in VR. And if you keep him, and something else that I noticed is GT7 is the only racing game on PlayStation that supports VR. This game does not have VR support. F123 doesn't have VR support. And something else that I noticed, the PC version of F123 supports voice command. So I can get reports from the engineers, and he'll give you a report and be like, okay, your tires are looking good, nothing to worry about, you should be good to go the rest of the race. You'll hear that kind of stuff. And then like I'll ask him for a vehicle report, and I'll say vehicle condition, and he says everything's fine, zero's fine, nothing to worry about, keep the pace, that yada yada yada. On the console version of F123, the voice commands do not work. You have to pull up a menu and select whatever command you want to say. So you don't just say tire status. You have to pull up a menu and select tire status. So yeah, there's a compromise there. So that's one of the many reasons why I always suggest PC gaming over console gaming if you want the best experience. It is also the biggest headache too.
I guess I won't be buying PSVR 2. GT7 is too arcadey, man. I don't even play it anymore.
It's hard for me to play it because I mentioned the 120 hertz reprojection. It makes the game look blurry. I also can't deal with the dirty driving. So I've come this close to walking away from GT7 for good. And one of the reasons why I have not given an evaluation, you know how people put out these videos where PSVR 2 after 3 months, PSVR 2 after 4 months, that kind of stuff. One of the reasons why I have not done that is because I don't think I could give you my honest opinion of PSVR without it sounding negative. Um, so I've always tried to sum it up like this. I said, and I say it before. I said it many times before, and I say it again that when people ask me what do I think of PSVR 2, I tell them the same thing every time, that I think is good for what it is. I think it's a big leap over PSVR 1, but I do not think. I think PC is a much better experience, especially if you have a very high-end PC, which in my case I have a 4090. So I've done the comparisons before. I've looked at Pavlov through PSVR 2 and then turn around and come look at it on this PC here, and it's not even close. Especially, with my Quest Pro headset, the picture is just ultra sharp. It is just razor sharp. And I've said it before with PSVR 2, the picture is clear, but the edges are soft. It's almost borderline. Like, if the edges get any softer, you're going to see what looks like a very soft blur. The pictures are just not razor sharp on PSVR 2. And then you got the 120 hertz refresh rate, where when everything starts moving, it can look like a slight blur, especially on GT7. I was playing PokerStars VR, and I had my hand in front of me like this. As soon as I started waving it around, it was instantly blurry. I started seeing double visions of my hand. So a lot of the games on PSVR 2 use this 120 hertz reprojection, and in my opinion, some people are downplaying this 120 hertz reprojection, and others like myself, I'm not a big fan of it. And that brings me to the PS5 Pro. I don't know if I would buy the PS4 Pro. Right now, my answer is no, because Sony is probably going to mandate parity across the board. That's what they did with PS4 and PS4 Pro. With the PS4 Pro, you had a console that was double the power of the PS4, but yet Sony wouldn't let developers take advantage of it. If a game ran at 30 frames per second on the PS4, it had to run at 30 frames per second on the PS4 Pro, even though it could have done 60, because Sony wanted everything to be equal across the board. So if there are games out there that could have ran on the PS4 Pro, but it wouldn't have ran on the PS4, and Sony mandates that anything that ran on the PS4 Pro had to run on the PS4. So if you can't make it work on the PS4, then you can't put it on the platform. And I'm scared it's going to be this exact same way with PS5 Pro. I'm a little bit worried that maybe, in my opinion, 90 frames native when it comes to VR, 90 frames native is better than 120 frames reprojection, because the reprojection makes shit blurry. Whereas a native frame rate, you get a clear picture. And when it comes to VR, 90 frames native, that is the bottom line right there. That is the minimum of what you need if you want a clear picture with a good frame rate. In the case of the 120 hertz reprojection, I've said it before, they are inserting artificial frames in between the real frames. So if you remove those artificial frames from the game, and you got 60 real frames, if you were to play GT7 flat screen, 60 frames is great. It's going to run buttery smooth. But when it comes to VR, it has to be 90. Anything less than 90 frames per second is going to run skittish. It's going to look choppy. And that's why when you play GT7 on PSVR 2, if you stop and you just watch those cars go through, you'll see the actual car, and then you'll see a ghost trail of the car behind it. That is the 120 hertz reprojection. The real car is actually going by, but the artificial frames that's being inserted in between, that is what's leaving the ghost trail. And I find it to be a little bit off-putting. I find it to be distracting at times. And it's almost getting to the point where it's starting to feel like a deal breaker to me. Um, I'm at a point now where if a game comes out on PC, as far as VR goes, if a game comes out on PC and it's coming out on PSVR 2, I'm buying the PC version. Because with PSVR, you have to, in terms of the visuals and in terms of the frame rate, you have to take what they give you. Whereas over on PC, you have the option of turning the graphical settings up or down. You can turn it down to low or turn it all the way up to ultra. With the frame rates, you can go into the software of that VR headset itself, and you can turn off the motion blur. In the case of Meta or Oculus, you can turn off the asynchronous space warp, which is their version of reprojecting. You can turn that off for native frame rate. The big catch is that if you turn it off, your PC better be able to produce 90 native frames, otherwise it's going to look skittish and choppy. So once again, if you come to me and tell me that I want to get PSVR 2, if you got your mind made up and you're like, look, I'm buying PSVR 2, that's all to it, I'll tell you go ahead. And I'll leave it at that. But if you come to me and say, should I buy PSVR 2 or should I buy PC and get a PC headset, I'm going to tell you to get a PC. I will tell you to get PSVR, PC VR. And so for the fanboys out there, yes, I did dare to say, pick PC over your favorite piece of plastic. So there you have it. Now,
they got a price drop 150 to 200 to justify a purchase from me.
I would agree with that 100%. And I say that because the Quest 3 along with the Pico 4 has changed or going to change VR visuals because they both have pancake lenses. I mean, pancake lenses in VR is a breakthrough. For years, VR has used the Fresnel lenses. And the issue with the Fresnel lenses is the center of the lenses is clear, which is your sweet spot. Anything outside of the sweet spot is blurry. And in the case of PSVR 2, GT7 in particular, GT7 uses eye tracking FOV, which means the headset follows the pupils of your eyes. So anywhere that you look around there is supposed to be clear. That's supposed to be the case. It's also, because of that, it's also supposed to free up resources of the PS5. Hey, how's it going? How's it going, Landon? It's also supposed to free up resources of the PS5. To me, that is not the case. If you play GT7 in VR, if you look in the center, everything's clear. But if you look outside of the center and you look outside of the sweet spot, it is a little bit blurry, even with the eye tracking FOV. With pancake lenses, everything is clear from one side to the other. With pancake lenses, once you put that headset on and you get it positioned to where you can see, once you get it positioned correctly, there is no sweet spot. From top to bottom, everything is clear. From left to right, everything is clear. It's edge to edge clarity. There is no blur. When pancake lenses first came out, the headsets were expensive. So in the case of like the Quest Pro, it started out at $1,500. In the case of the Pico 4 Enterprise, I think that cost give or take about $1,000. I think the exact American price of it is $979. Um, and I think that's the biggest reason, along with terrible sales. Meta or Oculus or Facebook, whatever you want to call them, they dropped the price of the Quest Pro from $1,500 to $1,000. The headset wasn't selling well because, for one, they marketed the headset terribly. They marketed the headset as an enterprise headset, as if, this is a headset that's been made for office work. When it flopped and nobody was buying it, they dropped it to $1,000, and then they started advertising it as a gaming headset. Had they done that right from the start, I think the headset would have sold better. I think the Quest Pro is a PC headset, is an amazing headset. That picture is just unbelievably clear. I think it's a micro or mini LEDs. It gives you the deep blacks that you would get out of an OLED screen, but the colors got so much pop. The colors are so vibrant. So I absolutely love the Quest Pro as a PC headset. My racing games, the colors are so vibrant and the picture is so razor sharp. And then I'm sorry, I come back to GT7 and I see a picture that's borderline blurry. This picture that we're looking at right here on ACC on PS5, this is an incredibly sharp picture, but it would look like dog shit in VR. It would look like, my guess, it would look like dog shit, and it would run like dog shit because of how demanding this game is. I'm not trying to brag, I'm not trying to talk shit, but this razor sharp picture that you see on this PS5 in VR, my picture comes pretty damn close to this. The power of my 4090, as well as the Quest Pro headset.
X looks so good on PS5. Beautiful game.
Yes.
GT7 looks great too.
They both are beautiful games as far as flat screen games goes. But once you put that headset on for PSVR 2, GT7 still has great colors, but that picture isn't near as sharp. And a lot of the assets have been stripped out of it. There's also a lot of compromises on GT7. Like, for instance, when you race in VR, they put you in the cockpit of the car and you cannot change camera angles. Whereas if you play GT7 flat screen, you can change from the bonnet view. You can do the third person chase camera. You can do the over the hood view. You can change different camera angles. You cannot do that. Not only that, like the flat screen version of GT7, I think you can also hit the button so you can see the rear of the car, so you can take a look at the cars that's closing in on you. You can't do that in VR on GT7. A lot of the telemetries in the HUD, a lot of that stuff is missing. You don't have the standings, the grid standings. So you have a little bit of a HUD right there on the center of the screen, which tells you what place you're in and what your lap time is, but it doesn't show the standings. It doesn't show the standings of the other cars. So a lot of the HUD is missing. And to me, that's just part of the shortcuts that they had to take to get this thing to run. I think Polyphony Digital went through every single bit of this game, and I think they saw that the game probably ran like shit and probably did not run that good. So I think they just kept on plucking out little bitty pieces of the game in VR until they got it to where they think they could get it to run good and look acceptable. So what I'm trying to say is that if GT7 in VR had settings like PC where you could choose your graphical settings, low, medium, high, and epic. If you were to turn GT7 all the way up to epic settings, it would not run. That is my opinion. I think the best way to describe GT7 on PSVR 2 would be the equivalent of running ACC on medium settings in VR. Where I would consider it to be tolerable. Automobilista 2 is undoubtedly the best looking game in VR. Has the sharpest picture and it runs the best. It is the best optimized game in VR, period. What they have pulled off is nothing short of amazing. Because even Automobilista 2 even looks good on mid-range PCs. I honestly think Sony and Polyphony Digital should have talked to them and brought them in to help with the VR optimization. Because I think they could have got the game to look and run better than what we're getting right now. So
I wish these games had damage physics. I think Automo has it if I'm not mistaken.
The damage physics of Automobilista 2 and F123, those physics are so detailed that people have to be careful about dirty racing. With Automobilista 2, if you have damage turned to simulated, you don't have to hit the wall that hard for your car to be knocked out of commission. You'll see the hood crumple up, the engine will run funny. The engine, you'll hear the engine running funny. Now, in the case of GT7, you can hit the wall pretty hard and your car will be damaged, but it all disappears after like 10 seconds. Your car would only be damaged for 10 seconds. You look at the HUD and you see that the bumper and the tires, they're all flashing red, but only for about 10 seconds. After that, it all disappears and the car basically resets. Your car is no longer damaged. And I think that's one of the reasons why the racing is so dirty on GT7. It's a horrible penalty system where you get knocked off the track and you get penalized for it. And then you can hit the wall fairly hard and your car doesn't really take a serious amount of damage. And any damage that you do take disappears after 10 seconds. So that being said, this is all the stuff that I mentioned, the 120 hertz reprojection, the shortcuts that they had to take on GT7, the terrible penalty system, the dirty racing, in my opinion, the lack of simulated damage physics, all that stuff, in addition to it being a borderline arcade racer, all that stuff has gotten to the point where GT7 is not a lot of fun for me. If you guys been following my channel, you'll notice that I have not streamed GT7 in almost a month. The last time I streamed it, a guy knocked me off the track, and I basically did a silent rage quit. I didn't go screaming and cussing and shit like that. I just said, hey folks, I'm done. That's it. And I ended the stream, and I haven't been back since. This game here on PS5, There is a lot of wrecks on here, don't get me wrong. But there's not near as many dirty racers on this game as there is GT7. Even if you're dealing with people who are using controllers, they're probably the ones you really got to worry about. But the ones that halfway know how to drive, they understand how this game works. That if you go out of your way to wreck another car, you could destroy your own car in the process. So a lot of times on a GT7, not
you
GT7.
slow down to make a turn and boom, someone rear ends you at 100 miles an hour. Annoying.
Absolutely. And in the case of ACC on PS5, if somebody goes out of their way to wreck you to the point where they know they might destroy their own car, something happened in that race that pissed them off so bad that they targeted you. They're not just racing dirty. So in some cases, they will sit on the side of the road and wait for you to come around again. And then when you come around, they'll come right back out on the track and try to ram you and try to finish your race off too. Their race is already finished, but they got their mind made up. They're going to get you too. That's really the only time you deal with like super dirty shit, you know, on ACC on PS5. All right. Let's do this. And so, Mosaic Speedster, if you're still listening, I've been watching the landscape of people talking about PSVR 2, and I think there's some people out there that's Craig, my guy. What's up? How you doing? I think there's some people out there that's towing the industry line, and I think there's some people out. No, there isn't no. I know that there's people out there that knows that PSVR 2 has its issues, but they're sidestepping it, and I guess to a degree you could say that I'm sidestepping it, because I'm telling you guys what I think the issues are with PSVR 2, but I'm doing it within these racing streams that not a lot of people are going to watch. If I do a complete stream and say this is the problems I have with PSVR 2, more people are going to tune into it, but then, you know, the fanboys are going to come out and some of them are going to be butthurt that I'm talking about their favorite piece of plastic. All right, let's go.
Lol, the fanboys will rage, haha.
Yeah.
Going double file.
After this race, I'm going to go into a private session and show you guys something.
Green light. Go, go, go.
we go. He shot right through there.
There's a slow car ahead.
Oh boy.
Yellow flag ahead. Watch out. Causing severe damage on the front. Box is flat. We have to repair the car.
He planned that. He sat right in the middle of the road and he backed right in front of me.
Box is flat. We have to repair the car.
Guys seen and dumbasses.
Seriously, man, what was the point of that? What was the point of sitting in the middle of the road like an asshole and backed into an oncoming car? I mean, are you guys that much? Are you guys that actually that much of a child? Unbelievable. The guy sat right in the middle of the road. I tried to go around him and he started backing up right into my path and I couldn't avoid him. So, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I prefer to play on PC. You won't deal with this shit on PC. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of accidents on PC, but you don't have people sitting in the middle of the road waiting for you to come by so they can wreck you. Yep. So this is a great game. And not only that, there's VR support on PC as well if you like to race in VR. So yeah, like this jerk going down the pit lane in the wrong direction. But yeah, you don't deal with this stuff on PC. Another thing, in addition to getting the PC, I recommend that you join Low Fuel Motorsports because it is a website that's like dedicated to Assetto Corsa Competizione, and if anybody does anything dirty, you can save the replay and upload the clip to Low Fuel Motorsports, and they'll penalize that person for doing that. So in like that car that sat in the middle of the road and caused that big wreck, if this was Low Fuel Motorsports, what I would do is I would save that clip and I would upload it to the website, and they would penalize the guy. They would like dock like his XP or ELO as they call it, and it would kill his safety ratings too. So yeah, I would definitely. This game is great. I think it's the best. I think this game is the best racing game on PS5, but I think the best experience is on PC. All right. So, how much time is left? Should I try to even go back out on the track or not? No, it's not even worth it. I got 2 minutes
We're at
left.
the halfway mark. Still a long way to go.
My controls are locked, so it's not even worth trying. Whoa. Well, that I can't explain because I've only got hit with a start penalty once. And I learned a lesson from that. So I stay in my position no matter what the other cars are doing. Well, I did notice when the race started, someone dropped out. And what it did was the arrow instructed me to move over to the other lane. So maybe that's, did you move over to the other lane? So what I'm saying is, like, the game had me start off on the left side. Somebody dropped out, and when the race started, the arrow pointed for me to move over to the right side, over into the right lane. So if you didn't do that, maybe that's why you got hit with a position penalty. So I'm just theorizing. I really don't know what happened to you. So in any case, it was good talking to you. I'm going to look for another session. Same to you. Yep. Well, he was a pleasant guy to talk to, and it's crazy that I gotta recommend this guy get a play this game on PC if he wants to avoid the bullshit. I mean, just like that, my race was ruined. Here's another Monza. There's 3 people in there, but the ping is good. And then this Nürburgring, the problem with that is I don't. It is a super long free practice. It's an hour-long free practice, then a 12-minute qualifier followed by a 20-minute race. Like, I'm not trying to do all that. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and go to this Monza because this is actually a 30-minute race. Whoops. Let's set this. All right, let's get a lap or 2 in. Yeah, there's no way around it. I can't be I can't be as aggressive on here as I am on PC because seeing going from flat screen to VR is just it's a transition. But based on that lap time, I do think I have a fair chance to win this race, as crazy as it sounds, even though I'm about 3.5 seconds slower than the fastest lap. My fastest lap on PC is 1:48.6. I believe my fastest lap here on PS5, the PS5 version, is 1:51 flat. So yeah, I give myself a fair chance to win this race. Look at that! I got 3 cold tires and a 1 warm tire. The 2 rears and the left fronts are cold. Something else to keep in mind is that this is a 30-minute race. The only thing I really need is that the 2 cars in front of me, I need them to fight it out. Because if they fight, they won't be as fast. If they decide not to fight, then it's going to be hard to keep up with them.
Stay double file. Green light, go, go, go.
this in flat screen?
Yes, sir.
Nauseated face.
Coon, how's it going?
First step of the race, pretty good job. Well done, mate. You're so fast this time.
This is morning.
Yeah, this is morning.
Grinning, squinting face.
shit!
There's light damage on the left of the car. Yellow flag on the child in front.
Somebody went off the track? Yeah, the Ferrari went off the track.
Yellow flag in sector 2.
losing time at it. Dropped out. Lost a lot of time.
Hi, my friend. Okay.
How you doing, Ramirez?
It's okay.
I wish. A lot faster on PC. Almost lost it again. Oh shit! Yeah, I messed that one up. Bad. Oh, this car is destroyed.
Hey, there's a final lap.
Got a trophy.
Even was finished right. Great job, man. Need to bring it back to the base.
Phew. Oh, my left shoulder is burning. Phew. Like I said, I'm much faster on PC, but that was still fun. Um, when I went off the track and hit that wall, I was about to give up, but I decided nope. If I wasn't streaming, I probably would have quit that race, but I'm streaming, so um, had to give it my best. Um, I think that's about it. You know, looks like these lobbies have dwindled. There's a Nürburgring, but no mid-session join. So I think I'll go ahead and hang it up right there, and I will escape with that second place. Although it was somewhat tainted. That Nissan must have had a pretty nasty wreck, because when I finally got past him and I saw the rearview mirror, his hood was open. So he must have hit the wall pretty hard. But in that same breath, I hit the wall too. My car sustained damage. I don't know how much damage it took. But hey, we still pulled off the second. We'll take it. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I'm going to go ahead and boogie on out of here. I'll get the thumbnail changed. I totally forgot about that, because when I stream from the PS5, I have to go physically into the computer and change the thumbnails. And I hope to see you all on the next stream, whatever that may be. Don't forget to check out my other channel, Growing Up with Mayweather, where I tell stories about growing up with my cousin Floyd Mayweather. And I did a stream yesterday morning that I think is really interesting because Floyd, the one time I saw him, or rather when he brought us out to Las Vegas, he noticed I was wearing a fake Money Team shirt and he gave me a rather peculiar look. So check out the story behind that, and we'll hope to see you on my next stream, whatever that may be, whatever that may be. So thanks for watching, everybody. Until then, you all know the line. Wakanda forever. Long live the king, and deuces. See you, everybody. Have a good one.